Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, October 17th, 2025. I am Dave Biddle, very happy joined by Jonah Booker. BTA Fridays, of course. All right, let's cut right to the chase. Ohio State at Wisconsin tomorrow, 3:30 on CBS. I love that. All right, prediction time. All right, I'll go with 3, 2, 1. I'll give mine, and you'll give yours, JBook. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
38-3.
I have 35-7. We're pretty close. We have not had like an identical score yet this year. That's pretty close.
Hey, but last week I finally put some ground close to you because I was 2 points off on that prediction for the Ohio State score last week. You've been kicking my butt in that one. I've been getting you in the best bets, but last week I made up a little bit of ground there.
You've been crushing the best bets, man.
71%.
It's awesome. Yeah, you had that one, you only missed one, I think. Just crushing it. And you have 38-3, is that right?
Yeah, 38-3. Yeah, I'm 5-2. I missed 2.
Oh,
I
5
had
and 2.
2-game losing streak. Then we both got back on the winning slide last weekend. So that was good to see us both hit our best bets. No
doubt about it. We'll get to our other best bet in a moment. I do want to ask you this. I know a lot of people have asked you this. I've had people ask me this. I've wondered this. Is Ohio State's offense kind of playing possum? What do you think?
That's a great question. And when you look at them, you definitely think that there's more in the tank. I don't know about you, Dave. When I see it, I was like, they have a whole lot more. The one thing that I think probably scares a lot of people is when you watch that Illinois game and then you guys were speaking to the media, listening to Ryan Day, and Ryan Day made the comment, we're going to kind of react to what the defense is giving us. And when you look back at that Michigan game last year, Dave, what did Michigan do? Ohio State reacted to what Michigan was giving them, which was saying, hey, we're going to invite you to run up the middle on a light box against our 2 first-round defensive tackles. And we know how that turned out. Well, you turn on that USC game versus Michigan, nothing about that. What USC was doing was saying, hey, we're going to base our offense on what Michigan was doing. No, USC took it to Michigan. They spread them out. They made Michigan have to play sideline to sideline. They weren't running into a stacked box. And so USC was able to just gash them for over 200 yards rushing, but it wasn't a 2 and 3 tight end look. They were running out of spread formations. Now, I don't know about you, Dave, and I've gotten this quite a bit, and I've seen this comment quite often from Ohio State fans, that the notion is this Ohio State's offense is supposedly playing possum, similar to what they were doing last year. And I say to people, it's like, that's not really the case, because heading into Michigan week last year, Ohio State's offense was ranked 5th in scoring, around 37.8, 38 points per game. They were top 10 in red zone efficiency, something that this offense has struggled with this year. They were top 10 in yards per game last year, going into the Michigan game at 451. Now, as pace of play, they were operating at a slow pace as well last year. That's similarities, but Ohio State's offense last year was not playing possum. They just had an atrocious game plan going into that Michigan game. So when you hear people saying, well, they're holding things back similar to what they did last year, that's not a true statement, because you're talking about in top 10 in all categories, major categories last year. That's where that offense was last year. They just did what they were normally doing throughout the season in the playoffs. So this year, I'm just like, are they playing possum, or is this who they really are?
I think they're playing possum to an extent, because there hasn't been a time all year where I thought, oh, Ohio State's in trouble. Not against Texas, not against, I know early in Washington didn't start well, but they've been basically in control of every game. So I definitely think that there's no way they've opened up the playbook enough. I mean, they're not throwing the ball deep that often. They have here and there, and they're good when they do it. I think they are. I know that's kind of a homer take.
Yeah.
But it does feel that way. There's no way. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the thing that worries me, Dave, is because I've been seeing a lot of Ohio State fans saying once the playoffs come around, they're going to flip a switch. That's extremely difficult to do against a playoff team. Just say all of a sudden we're going to flip a switch from something that completely different how we've been operating for 12 games. So I think this week, Dave, going forward, I think it's very important for the offense to really start ramping up. If we're 3 weeks from now and we're still seeing this same offense, at that point, I'm now going to start leaning towards maybe this is who they are, because it's going to be very hard to just all of a sudden flip a switch against Miami in the playoffs and say, okay, we're going to open it up when you haven't done it all year. But I do think that they are just content with getting out with wins. The only problem with that, Dave, is the way that they're playing as far as how slow they are and kind of taking their foot off the gas is limiting the opportunities for a lot of these younger guys to get reps. So you're seeing the back end of the roster, especially on the offensive side of the football, they're not getting the amount of reps that you would hope. I mean, right now they basically have a 3 wide receiver rotation. You get some of those younger guys in here and there, but for the most part, you're hoping that you can see a lot more of these guys, especially those younger kids, get into these games. Like right now, when we look at this Wisconsin game, Ohio State's a 25.5-point favorite. I would just blast them to the moon 37-0. I mean, if you're Ohio State, just get out on them. And at that point, get out of there healthy and let some of these younger guys get some meaningful reps. And when I say meaningful reps, that doesn't mean Brian Hartline run the ball 20 times straight up the gut with the offense. Like, hey, let's let these younger guys actually operate the offense as opposed to, hey, we're just going to milk the clock by running 2 yards in a cloud of dust.
And it does seem like they're either not self-scouting or they're setting opponents up. And I know they self-scout. I know they self-scout because, like, it seems like if they throw on first down and it's incomplete or gets dropped, whatever, but it still would be incomplete. You know what I mean? If it's 2nd and 10, they're running almost every time on 2nd and 10. So I have to think they're smart. I have to think they're setting a future opponent up because they know they can win the games.
I mean, that 1st and 2nd down, and people say they're trying to protect Julian. Well, running on 1st down, running on 2nd down, and now you're in 3rd and long, that doesn't protect your young quarterback. And even some of those, intermediate passes and swing routes, screen passes and stuff like that, that's where you get the opportunity to really put it on 3rd and short. But this offense, it operates when they're on schedule. When they're on schedule, it's a very high functioning offense. But we'll see, Dave. I mean, I was very, very close of putting Ohio State minus 25.5 as my best bet this week. I mean, when you see what Iowa did to Wisconsin, you're like, sure enough, Ohio State should be able to cover this. I mean, poor Luke, man. This might be it for Luke. What do you think?
Yeah. Now, the thing that might save him is they gave him a contract extension after last year, which is just mind-boggling considering how the first 2 years went. And I know why they did it. The theory was, well, we didn't want to mess up recruiting. Everybody's going to be negative recruiting. It's like, yeah, but now you're going to have to pay him a pretty large buyout if you fire him. I don't know, man. It's just he should have just stayed at Cincinnati. It's like Cignetti. I was saying, Cignetti, do not go to Penn State. Just stay at Indiana. I didn't think they were going to give him. I thought they would give him $10 million. They gave him $11 million. He had Paul Feinbaum saying it was a bad idea. I'm like, well, that further proves it's a great idea by Indiana. I think that's a brilliant idea by Indiana. They're going to name the stadium Cignetti Stadium one day in Bloomington.
And then did you see Barry Alvarez came out this week and he was on their local, like at a local bar where they were doing like a live show or something like that. And they had Barry Alvarez on there. And then they were commenting about one of Wisconsin's veterans, one of their leaders, came to the podium last week after that blowout loss to Iowa and said this team doesn't have an identity. Barry Alvarez almost blew a gasket yesterday or whenever they had this live show, basically saying, like, if this was my program, if I heard any of our veterans say such the words that we don't have an identity, I am calling a full staff meeting right now, and I'm going to let them have the riot act. And basically, we're halfway through the season, and this program doesn't have an identity. It's too late for that now. So when you hear Barry coming out and kind of talking like that, and pretty much Barry runs the show over there, that kind of tells me Lucas he's in some trouble here.
Barry might have to coach again. That's what happens up there, right? He tends to have to be the interim head coach every once in a while. They might need to do that for the rest of this year. Yeah, I don't know, man. There's no way Luke's going to be there for much longer. I wouldn't be shocked if they gave him another year, but man, their schedule, I don't know if they're going to win another game this year. So if I had to bet, I think Luke, this will be his last year, but we'll see, man. What do you think about
wouldn't that be the perfect transition for Larry Johnson to off ramp if he wants to retire? Bringing Luke back as the defensive line coach. I was like, hey man, you're going to have $50 million in the bank. Come back and do what you love. Come back to Columbus and be the defensive line coach, or be an analyst. But I wouldn't be surprised if Marcus Freeman hires him as his defensive coordinator at Notre Dame, one of those gigs. But dream scenario was Luke comes back maybe as an analyst just to kind of stay in the game, back to Columbus, and then once Larry's ready to retire, slide Luke right in there kind of as a co-defensive coordinator in title and coaching the defensive line. That would be the dream scenario for me, but I'm sure Luke will have a lot of options to be a defensive coordinator somewhere.
Yeah, definitely. That would be awesome. But yeah, I don't know if he would lower himself to do that, but he loves Ohio State and still has a house here in Columbus, so maybe he would. All right, let's get to our other best bet. I'm kind of like, worlds are colliding here. I usually don't like doing this because I'll be rooting against them regardless, but I really think Michigan could be in trouble tomorrow, and they're favored by 5.5 at home against Washington. It was 7.5 when it first came out. I was like, that's way too high. I hope people got it then. I like Washington plus 5.5 at the Big House tomorrow. That's my best bet.
I like it, man. I put a bet down on Washington as soon as I saw that line on Monday or Sunday. And I couldn't believe that Washington was getting 5.5 points. Like, they're a live dog here, Dave. I think that if they can get into a situation to where they can jump out on Michigan and make them have to be able to throw the football to get back into the game, that's when Michigan has an absolutely meltdown. Their whole entire identity is, let's play in the phone booth. Let's shorten the game. We're going to rely on our run game. No word on Justice Haynes, if he's going to play or not. And
right.
if he doesn't play, that's going to be a significant blow to that Michigan offense. My best bet of the week, I'm going with Air Force minus 3.5 over Wyoming. You're talking about an Air Force offense that is absolutely shredding teams right now. They're putting up 38, 39. Last week put up 50 points in a losing effort against UNLV. They got Wyoming, who's coming off a win over San Jose State last week at home, where it took a miracle for them to win. Wyoming offense or defense, that's ranked like 69, 68th in the country against one of the top offenses in college football and Air Force. Give me minus 3.5 Air Force.
Your in-laws and your wife are not going to be happy with you. Aren't they Wyoming? Aren't they Wyoming folks?
They're Wyoming. I called my father-in-law and told him, I was like, sorry, man, you guys are getting belt to butt. You're getting BTA when you guys go to Air Force this week.
You clean it up a little bit when you talk to the father-in-law. You go,
I know it.
Belt to butt. That's all right.
I clean it up. He laughs. He even misses. Like, Wyoming's not very good this year. But hey, I got to look at the numbers and take the bias out of it. And that right there was a juicy line for me that I was like, ooh, I kind of like that. Air Force minus 3.5. Like, right now, if I hit this one, Dave, 75% on the year on the best bets. So we got to keep this party train rolling.
You know, I tell you every week too. Last week I hit a nice 5 leg. I text you. I had a nice 5 leg. I turned $10 into 300. That was pretty nice. You know, when I do that, then I'm like, oh, I should have bet more. It's like, no, you can't have that attitude. Like, you just have to be happy with the bets you win. There's plenty of times to get mad at the bets you lose. If you win, the reaction should not be, oh, I should have bet more. No, it was good.
You got hitting the 5-leg parlay, man. That's a beautiful thing. I mean, taking $10 into 300 off our picks, man, and some of our side bets that we like. Not necessarily our best bets, but some of the ones I was sweating at Kent State and UMass under. It was very, very close because it was like they were sitting at like 48 with like 7 minutes to go in that game, and I'm just like tick, 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 and Kent State just pretty much just kneeled on the ball for the rest of the game. Like UMass offense was atrocious, and I was like, got out of there with a dub off the hair of our chin, Dave.
I was going to ask you about this. Todd on Facebook, he says, greetings, gents. Any word on Bo's ankle? I did ask Ryan Day about it on Tuesday, and he gave, he doesn't like us asking about injuries, but he hasn't told us we can't ask about it, but he's not going to tell us much. But he said he thinks Bo's going to be okay for the game. Now, if they were going to hold him out, would Coach Day say anything else? No. I think he'll play tomorrow. I am a little concerned about, because we know like running backs, when they get a sprained ankle, that thing can linger. What are your thoughts on Bo Jackson?
Yeah, I think they should rest him this week, Dave. That's my opinion. You got a bye coming up. You're going to need him down the stretch. I think this would be a situation to where you can get out of here and win by 30 points at Wisconsin without Bo Jackson. Give him an extra week to rest here. And I think all indications were that, yes, he could have probably played, tweaked it a little bit, but I'm all for resting him this week and getting him that extra time because you're going to need him down the stretch. The reality of it is, Dave, is this running game is going to go as far as Bo Jackson. And I would have never guessed that to start the season. We all talked about C.J. Donaldson, James Peoples being the 1-2 punch. Right. But basically, this run game, it goes through Bo. If he is playing at a high level, they're going to be, okay in the run game. Not saying that they're going to be elite. They're going to be okay. They're going to be solid. So give your bell cow an extra week of rest. What you looking at as far as secondary bets? You got anything?
I haven't looked too much because I was just looking at my secondary. I'll have to do more of a deep dive on that. That Washington plus 5.5. I'm like, geez, I wouldn't be shocked if Washington wins that game. I love getting 5.5 points. What about you? What are your secondary bets?
I got 2 of them. I like Alabama and Tennessee over 59.5. I think that's going to be a shootout. I mean, this Tennessee offense is absolutely atrocious. Or I'm sorry, their defense. Tennessee's defense is atrocious. They can move the ball with that hurry-up offense here. I think Alabama's team total is like 34.5 points. If they hit that, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to be able to cover this 59.5. And then I'm going to look at as my third one that I really like is Cincinnati at Oklahoma State under 57.5. You look at this Cincinnati defense, they've been really good lately. They held UCF down under 14 points last week. You have an Oklahoma State team that's basically melted in since Gundy has been fired. Oklahoma State cannot score at all. Cincinnati's hot. They're right there in the thick of things for being in the Big 12 championship. So 57.5 points there. That's really high, especially when you're talking about an Oklahoma State team that's not going to be able to contribute very much to the offensive scoring to try to hit that over. So I'm going 57.5 under Cincinnati at Oklahoma State as a bet that I like. Not love, but I like it.
A lot of people asking about Isaiah West, making comments about Isaiah West in the chat. Yeah, I think tomorrow, especially if Bo, if they rest him, especially with the bye week the following week, like you said, Isaiah West could have a big role tomorrow. That'd be cool to see.
I like him. I like the way he runs the football, Dave. Like when you see him, he kind of shows that patience and the vision that you're looking for out of a running back. And right now, if you were to look at this freshman running backs with Jackson and West, you could say the future is looking extremely bright with those guys. And they're in the hunt for some of these other young guys too here. I mean, Here's one. Speaking of younger guys and on the hunt, I know we're veering off topic, man, but could this be a great opportunity for Ohio State to raid Penn State class with the dismissal of James Franklin? Like you look at Spell, the 5-star running back who was committed to Penn State. He decommitted last week. He's going to be taking a visit coming up to Ohio State. That's going to be his second one because he was there for the Texas game. So the number one running back in the country, Ohio State's going to have an opportunity. They got a 5-star lineman that's going to be visiting that was committed to Penn State. They have an elite wide receiver who's top 10 in the nation that was committed to Penn State, now saying that he's going to be visiting Ohio State. Remember that time when Urban was here and a lot of these coaches within the Big Ten got fired, and all of a sudden, like Urban was like a shark in the water. He smelled the blood and he started picking off like elite pieces from different rosters. It kind of feels like that right now, that Ohio State has an opportunity to really seize what's going on over at Penn State.
Oh, Mark Pantoni and his staff are all over it. There's no doubt about it. Like, he's the best in the business. I think Andrew Luck was a very good hire at Stanford as GM, but Mark Pantoni is the best in the business. There's no doubt that him and his staff are all over that. We have a couple people in the chat asking about this. This is from Greg on YouTube. Is Brandon Ennis in the doghouse? Ryan Day hinted he may be replaced. I did hear him say, that might be from his Thursday show, which I didn't hear yesterday. On Tuesday, he said Mylan Graham and Quincy Porter are close. I didn't hear him. I didn't hear him like intimate that Ennis is in the doghouse. What did you hear anything about that?
I didn't hear anything about that. I don't recall him saying replace. I do remember him saying that the other two wide receivers are close. But I will say this: they definitely need something out of a third wide receiver, Dave. They have to. If it's Mylan Graham, then so be it. But they have to get any semblance of production from a third wide receiver. But at the same time, it's very, very difficult to know if this is a quarterback situation, to where, not saying Julian's playing bad, but maybe Julian just views Max Clare as his third, and he's not giving Brandon the looks. Even maybe Brandon, I mean, you probably have to turn on the all 22 to really focus on every route that Ennis is running to say if he's open or if he's not open. But I think it could be a situation to where they just view Max Clare as their third option in this offense in the passing game.
Definitely. I just feel like he's the true slot receiver. Like Kazmarek's really like the traditional Ohio State tight end, and Claire's like, I can't even think of a comp. We haven't seen something. Maybe Jeremy Ruckert, but Ruckert was bigger, at least taller. Similar to Ruckert. I guess that's the one that would be like the one that comes to mind the most. Marcus Baugh a little bit. Mylan Graham, to me, he's just, every time he touches the ball, going back to just practices in the spring game itself, he's just electric. And he would bring a different, because they have the big receivers. Obviously, Jeremiah's explosive. He's not just big. Carnell's big and explosive. It would give them more of a smaller, quicker guy. Not that Mylan's small, but he's smaller than those other guys. He's quicker than Brandon. Yeah, I'd like to see Mylan get more of a chance. I don't think Brandon's playing poorly by any means, though.
Right. What do you think? What's your opinion on these jumbo tight end looks that are dead giveaways? Like whenever they come in with 2 and 3 wide tight end looks, like it's 99.9% run. And so when they come in with those type of formations, if you watch that Illinois game, once they start coming in and it was telegraphing run, Illinois just completely abandoned all other responsibilities. It's basically like, double tight ends, 3 tight end looks, 100% run. These guys were coming out of the blocks like they were in a track sprinter because they had 0 other responsibilities. But the tight ends struggled with blocking this past week. I mean, all of them pretty much graded in the 50s. Nate Robertson was the highest, but he only played like 8 snaps or something like that. But when you're talking about Will and Max and the other kid, 40s and 50s pass or run blocking, I'm like, if you're going to go double tight end and triple tight ends, you're going to have to be able to block a little bit better than that for the run game to be able to execute at a high level.
They tried to throw a curveball and did the shovel pass, but it's like they're already like you got to do something outside if you're going to do something like different because they're playing the run. So you do the shovel pass, boom, they were right there to stuff it. I think they're probably playing possum a little bit. Is my guess. Is my
Hold
guess.
on, Dave.
I hope.
Now, if we get to Michigan week, and I know that people don't want to hear this, but if they run out in these 2 and 3 tight end looks, isn't that playing into Michigan's hands? If you're Wink Martindale, don't you have a huge smile on your face to say, "Oh, this is 100% run"? If they're coming out in these 2 and 3 tight end sets, like USC gashing them for over 200 yards, never came out in these jumbo looks. Everything was all spread out. Wide receivers were on the hashes, and then Michigan they were having to get out of these stacked boxes, and they were just running them up and down the field. That's why I'm like, whew, this is going to be fascinating to see as the season progresses.
I love the point here from Mrs. Sanchez. By the way, congratulations again for Devin getting his first of many career starts for the Buckeyes. I love it. Jermaine playing the slot looked great. Devin out there. I mean, I hope Lorenzo Styles Jr. Gets healthy. You need depth, but I'm kind of leaning that might be the best route for the defense is to have Jermaine at the slot and have Devin starting on the outside and have Lorenzo ready to come in when needed. What's good? It was good seeing Jason Moore make his season debut.
Yes,
finally.
And how good is Tywone Malone playing right now?
Fantastic, and kudos to him. I've been critical of him, saying, "Come on, he should be better than this," and he's now playing like it. I'm happy for him. 5th year senior.
I mean, that's 2 games in a row that Tywone Malone has played lights out, Dave. If he continues this momentum, and if they can get Edric back healthy, and he starts to kind of pick up his play, because that last game before Edric went out, he looked the best that he had looked all season long. So if you get Tywone playing, and then Will Smith Jr. has been very valuable. He's been able to hop in there for 25 to 30 snaps, and he's been very solid as well. But man, Tywone Malone is playing the best football that he's played since he's been here.
Heck yeah, that's awesome, because if they had like an All-American 3-tech, that'd be great. But like as good as this defensive line is, great when you're talking about Caden McDonald, Caden Curry, Kenyatta Jackson, they're playing so well. Bo Atkinson, you can't have a weak link. You can't have a 3-tech that's in there that everybody knows is the weak link, and they don't have a weak link. Like Tywone Malone just needs to be good. He doesn't even have to be great for this defensive line to be great, and he is. He's playing really well. He's borderline been playing great. You're right. So
he has. And you probably look at when you got a front with Jason Moore who's coming in. That dude's a monster, and you see him playing right next to K-Mac and Kenyatta Jackson. You're like, good Lord, talk about the all-bus team, like the guys that are come first off the bus. Like when you start seeing 6'6" with Kenyatta, and then Jason Moore's right up there, like 6'6", 6'7", 300 plus. Like these are some big dudes out there in the middle there. But yeah, when I saw Jason Moore down there on the goal line, I was like, okay, he's finally healthy. Like, let's go, Moore. Like they needed that. They needed Jason Moore to be able to contribute somewhere, somehow.
I think Will Smith Jr. is coming on too. We all of a sudden have some depth at D tackle. I love it.
Yeah. They definitely that was the weak spot coming into the season. We didn't know. We knew K-Mac was going to be nice, but as far as the remaining depth, we were like, I don't know. It's going to be a wait or see approach here.
Yeah, we got to give like props to Matt Patricia. I feel like we don't talk about him enough. Everybody knows he's doing a great job, but like I'd have to go back and look. Has there ever been a defense that lost 8 draft picks?
Yeah,
in 1 year, came back the next year, and they were actually better. Oh, and they didn't just lose 8 draft picks. They were the number 1 defense in the country last year, won the national championship, lose 8 draft picks off the defense alone, and they're better.
And it's incredible. It's incredible how well that he has done with this defense. I mean, it also helps when you have the 2 top linebackers that Dane Brugler has said are the 2 top linebackers that's going to be drafted this year. And then when you start having Arvell Reese playing that kind of, it's actually kind of like a hybrid of a jack. The way that they use Arvell Reese, because they're able to move him up on the line of scrimmage and have him get after the quarterback. And he's excellent being able to run sideline to sideline. But when you have that many pieces, it allows you to do so much. But yeah, I agree with your assessment as far as the defensive backs. I really love having Devin starting on the outside and putting Jermaine, because Jermaine's so active in the slot, having him so close to the football with a guy like Caleb Downs, who's very active as well. It makes it extremely difficult on the opposing offenses. But man, this defense, I mean, if they, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, Dave, but here in a couple weeks, we might have to do a research statistically about the best defense in Ohio State history. And because they're knocking on the door with that. I think there was some stat that I saw, like, I don't know if it was Fox or something, but the least amount of points allowed in college football so far through 7-8 weeks, like this Ohio State defense is on a historic pace. I think it was like 20 or 30 years or something like that. And then you look at how modern day offenses are so efficient right now that you're able to operate that. Because I remember I was talking to Bobby, and Bobby was saying back in their days, in the Silver Bullets days, they were looking to hold, I think, teams like under 17 points or something along those lines. And then he was saying now in today's era of college football, and this was a while back, that you probably have to bump that up to maybe like holding teams under 20, because it was a point where, scores were like 60-30 or something like that. Now you look at it and you're like, even in modern day era, this Ohio State defense is operating at an historic clip, which is really fascinating to see. And I feel like they're still holding stuff back that Matt Patricia hasn't even really unleashed the beast on everybody else yet.
I love this defense, and defense travels, man. I absolutely love it. All right, I got to jump off here. Great stuff from Jonah Booker as usual. Thank you, JBook. Make sure you follow JBook's bets. Do the opposite of what I'm doing, but follow JBook's bets. Thank you, sir.
Hey, I'm following you on this week, man. I'm on that 5.5 with Washington. So
there you go.
We're in this one together. So I think if you win this one, Dave, you pull even, man. You're going to be at 50%.
It's perfect. You get Michigan, Washington at noon, and the Buckeyes at 3:30. Bam.
Yep.
Love it. And then what we learned live right after the Ohio State game. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it as always.
All right. Talk to you next week, my friend.
All right, bud. He's the man. He's JBook. Hey, thanks, everybody. I appreciate it very much. We had a large live audience. I appreciate you guys very much. JBook does as well. Thanks, everybody who's listening to the podcast version, the replay of the show. We appreciate you guys very much. I know you're still basking. Hope everyone has a great day, a great weekend, and of course, go Bucks.